Target just made a huge mistake. Hey everybody, you're watching Bull Boom Bear Bust, back with another dose of economic reality. So interesting news coming out of Target. You might have heard about it recently. Target's no longer going to be price matching. Some of you may never have gone to Target for price matching. I happen to have gone to Target for that. In fact, most of the trips I've made to Target in the past year have been for price matching. So in other words, you find something on Amazon or on Walmart. If you pull up the online profile of the item, they'll usually match the price, which is nice. That way, if you don't have it in stock at another store, or you don't want to wait for shipping from Amazon, you can go and pick it up. And just a lot of people prefer to have it the same day. And if you have to take it back, it's nice to have the store to take it back to instead of having to print a label, take it to the shipping center and all that stuff. So it's just convenient. But they're no longer going to be doing that. They'll stop matching prices of Walmart and Amazon. And when you hear the reasons why, some of you may not be surprised, because it has a lot to do with what's happening right now with the economy, the slowdown in spending. And we warned everyone here that this was going to happen. We said it right here on this channel. And why is Target doing this? Well, it's because the consumers have pulled back on spending. So their theory is, if people are no longer going to get the lower price that they used to match, then they're going to go ahead and spend more for the item. But I think Target's wrong, and I think they're making a big mistake, because what I think is going to happen is the people that normally would have went to Target for the price matching, they're no longer going to go to Target. And some of those people, including myself, when you went to Target for the price matched item or items, you also bought some other things that weren't price matched, some things you just needed that you picked up. So I think it actually brought them more business. But what they're saying is that's one of the reasons why they're losing money. Let's see here. So it has allowed shoppers to request a price match at the time of purchase or within 14 days. So if you bought something not knowing it was lower price somewhere else or on Amazon, you could come in a week or two later, up to 14 days, and still get the price difference and get the money refunded back to you for the difference in the cost. But what's happening here, and it's out of this article here out of Bring Me the News, Target reported a 2.8% drop in first quarter sales, which is $23.8 billion in the first quarter of 2025. Compared to 2024, it was $24.5 billion in the first quarter. And again, they're thinking that part of it is because of the price matching, but I think it's going to be a mistake. I think they're going to lose even more money the next quarter. Right? And we're going to find out what that is shortly. But let me know what you think about this. I mean, is this a mistake, or is this going to fix their profit problem? Remember, on this channel, we told you over 3 years ago, people are, let's say, downgrading their shopping. So in other words, the people that used to shop at Macy's and other more expensive stores, they moved down to Target. But for the most part, the people that shopped at Target are moving down to the Dollar Tree, to Walmart, Dollar General, looking for lower prices. We warned over 3 years ago that that was going to happen. And look what's happened to Target's stock price here. So if you would have used caution in this sector, this retail sector, you would have done yourself a big favor by getting out of the stock. And we're going to look at a 5-year chart right here. And what does this show us? Well, it shows us that this stock peaked in about 2022, and it's been dropping ever since. Of course, it's been up and down over the past 3 years, but you would have not made money unless you bought one of these dips and sold at one of the peaks. But most people just holding the stock, you're treading water. You're not making money, and it wasn't a good investment. So we told you, as soon as inflation started taking off in 2020, 21, 22, look out for the more expensive retailers, because people are going to be downsizing or downgrading to lower priced options, including massive amounts of people now shopping at thrift stores. We showed you the reports here of the huge increase in traffic at thrift stores because people just can't afford to buy things new anymore. And if they can, most people are just putting it on some sort of debt instrument, aka a credit card or buy now, pay later app type of thing. But let's hear from a few people that are struggling with the cost of living and just kind of hear what other people are saying and what they're talking about. And at the end of this video, past the second half, towards the end of the video, we're going to tell you what the cause is and what the solution is and how you can benefit from this, how you can make a lot of money. But let's hear from a few people first. First, this is Chris Zeifer. I like some of the points he made in this video.
Be honest, do you ever look at your paycheck and think I'm doing everything right, but why the hell does it still feel like I'm losing? We make more money than our parents ever did. We work full-time jobs, maybe even 2, and a budget. We cut back, and still even going outside still feels expensive. Meanwhile, our parents could buy houses, take vacations, raise families, all off one income.
Think about that. People his age, I think maybe 30s, probably 40s, their parents made less than they did, a lot less. But on one income, they were still able to raise a family, buy a home. In some cases, like my parents, pay the home off early and still have money left over and still have money put back in savings. People now are working multiple jobs. Most people can't afford to buy a home. Even with multiple incomes in the household, with both spouses working, people aren't even having kids as much as they used to because of the cost of everything. Let's go ahead and continue.
Back when minimum wage used to mean something. Now we're all just out here working 40, 50, 60 hours a week, all to stay afloat and survive. Remember, not to live, not to thrive, but to survive. And if you question it, they gaslight you. Truth is, we're not free. We're digitally connected, emotionally disconnected. You're not crazy for feeling this. You're just finally seeing it. And trust me, you're not alone.
And what he's saying is absolutely true. I believe he said something like, we're digitally connected but socially disconnected or something like that. And what he also mentioned was that most people aren't working so much because of greed or to get rich. They're doing it just to survive. Just to survive. One time, someone in my family asked me a question where they basically accused me of being, quote, obsessed with money because I do different things. I have different streams of income, right? So instead of taking a vacation or having downtime or doing things that other people might do, I'm technically working. It may not be a regular job, but I'm working a side hustle. Even this channel, brings in a small amount of money. But other things I do to make money, put out merchandise to sell on Amazon and other websites, t-shirts. I've mentioned that here a few times. Different streams of income. Also putting out music. I write and record music. I put that out. That's a small stream of income. Of course, investing. That's been the biggest stream of income on top of bigger than YouTube, bigger than my regular job. For those of you that have been on this channel, you knew that I got into crypto very, very early and it's done really, really well. So I had a family member look at all these things and the time I spend just trying to make money and ask me why I'm obsessed with money. And just like that gentleman said in the video, people aren't really obsessed. They don't want to get rich. They don't want to have a mansion. Even if I had enough money to buy a mansion today, I wouldn't, which I can't afford one in California anyways. But even if I could, I wouldn't because I like having a smaller home and something that's easy to clean, something that's not tremendously large, and it's a whole bunch of square footage that I have to clean and maintain. But I don't want to look or actually feel rich. I just want to not have to worry. Now, if it were just me, I wouldn't even have to work anymore because I got lucky and got into cryptos early. I got into investing and then different streams of income, so I'm good for myself. I'm worried about my family. So even if I had $2 million right now in cash, I still would have to continue working because I'm afraid by the time my kids get older, they're not going to be able to afford a house, a place to live, food, necessities, utilities. So now I've got to not just save up for myself, I've got to now save up for other people, several other people that I'm afraid this world is going to really throw them a really hard time as far as the cost of living. So it's not about getting rich or getting wealthy and trying to be the next Warren Buffett. For a lot of people, it's just about survival and the concern that things are going to continue to get more expensive, world's going to continue to get crazier, and it's going to be harder and harder to get by as the years go by. Instead of easier, things are getting harder for most people. Now, obviously, when you're a multi-billionaire and you're still buying out other companies and investing, somebody like Warren Buffett could quit working and he would be fine, and the rest of his family would be fine for the rest of their lives. So it does get to a point where it is greed if you have so much money. But even as a millionaire, I don't think most millionaires, if you just have $1 million right now, that's still not guaranteed to last you for the rest of your life. right? Depending on how old you are. Now, obviously, if you're in your 90s, it's probably going to last you the rest of your life. But somebody 50 below or 50 and lower in age, you might have $1 million and you might still be concerned about that money not lasting you for the rest of your life. That's how crazy it is right now. Being a millionaire is no longer you're sitting on the beach drinking cocktails, taking vacations every weekend. It's you still better get your grind on because that money might be gone in just a few years. Let's hear from a few more people, folks. Then we're going to get to some updated news here. And like I said at the beginning, tell you how you can actually benefit from this, how you can make money from this, and kind of ride this wave. You know what I mean? All right, next, this is E squared 322. I believe she lives in the New York, Jersey area, if I'm not mistaken. Take a listen.
So I want to continue this conversation about how 99, I'm going to say 99, not even 95, 99% of us living in the New York, New Jersey metropolitan area are suffering. And I want to continue this conversation in
So not just getting by, not just scraping by, suffering is what she says. 99% of people in the New York, Jersey area are suffering. Is she right? I think it might be a little bit less than that. I think the top 10% are still in that area. So maybe 90%. But anyway, she's got a point. Take a listen.
hopes that I will not only get more answers as to why other people think this is happening, but I will find all the other New Jerseyans and New Yorkers that are suffering in this with me. I feel like the American dream that they sold you is dead. At this point, I feel like it's a big fat lie. Because technically, I did everything I was supposed to do.
The American dream is dead. It was a lie. She feels like she was told a lie, right? Get through high school, go to college, go into the workforce, make money, or get into a lot of debt and spend the rest of your life working to try to pay it off.
And my husband, he really did what he was supposed to do. This man suffers from Crohn's disease. And through the worst flare-up of his entire life, where he weighed the same weight as me, he went to school full-time and worked a job full-time. So he literally would work overnight shifts, get off at 7 in the morning, and then go to school at like 12 in the afternoon. And we're not just talking just like regular business school or whatever. We're talking engineering. He chose engineering because it's a great lucrative career, right? Well, he bust his aspirin, went to school, literally got the sickest he's ever been in his life, literally failed the class because he was so sick. We had a baby, went through COVID. I mean, such hard times in our lives. He pushed forward and graduated. And guess what? He makes no more money than he was making before.
Worthless degree, engineering.
Can't even find a job that would pay him $150,000.
Can't find a $150,000 a year job. But I bet he's got a lot of student loan debt.
And $150K might sound like a lot to some, but that is literally nothing for here. You need at least $200K in the household to survive. And I want to focus on my fashion business. So not only can we not afford a home, we can barely afford rent.
150K is nothing where she's at. Same thing here in California. You've got to make around 200K. And that's, as a single individual, 100K, you're doing pretty good. Probably even, I'd say 70K. You could still sort of get by if you bought early when home prices were lower. But yeah, in a lot of areas, 150K is not enough, especially if you have a family. And that's what a lot of people are realizing. And that's why you're seeing less people actually even start families right now. This is AGYIX. Take a listen.
The cost of living in this country is too much. And I know that this is a point that has been battered home and home again, especially over the past couple of years, right? But, like, I just don't think people understand, like, how hard it is for people, like, my age who are just getting their first jobs right now. Like, say make 50K a year, right? That's about 35K post-tax, right? Which is, like, upper 2,700 to like 3K a month before benefits and stuff like that come in your check, right? Now I bet housing, if you don't get a roommate, the bare minimum you're paying like 1,400, 1,500 a month. That's half your income gone. Half your income for just housing. That's before your car note, before your student loans, because
50K is like minimum wage in most states, not every state, but most states.
To get a job nowadays, it requires some type of degree, and most of us don't have money just to pay off our degrees in all one go, right? So now
What I mean by that, though, by 50K, it's not hourly, it's not what minimum wage is, but when you take out taxes and the money you actually bring home versus the cost of living, it's 50K is barely scraping by in most states.
You got insurance, car note, student loan payment, your groceries, your food, going out money because obviously, we work. No, we live, then we work. We don't live to work, right? It's like, where do people think we're supposed to get this money from? Like, I remember someone at my job today, they were giving out their info from housing. So they're like, hey, we're going to partner with y'all for housing, right? I'm thinking, okay, bet. It's going to be cheap and affordable, right? Because, they know that, hey, our industry, we don't make that much money, right? This person looked me in the face and said, oh, a studio apartment is $1,400 a month. $1,400 a month. That's nearly half of my post-tax income. Why on earth would I spend that on just housing? Like, these costs nowadays, and for a car note, say you get a decent car, like a decent Honda or Toyota, right? You're looking at $700 a month for a 40K car. Like, the cost of living right now is just way too high.
Way too high. The scary part is it's not coming down. Prices are going up. Inflation is still positive, right? Inflation slowed down at the beginning of the year, the first 3 months. The last 3 months, though, it's been up from the previous month. And then from that previous month, it's been up for 3 months in a row. The year-over-year number is getting bigger. And people better wake up and figure out what they're going to do because, things aren't really going to be changing. People thought things were going to change with this current administration. We were told that the tariffs were going to bring in all kinds of money, that everybody was going to get rich, that we're going to bring in so much money with the cost cutting when they did all these layoffs and cutting all these agencies and departments and cutting all the spending. People were told that we're going to bring in so much money from that you may even get stimulus checks. And people were excited for a while. We looked at the surveys, the consumer confidence surveys. At the beginning of the year, people were regaining confidence because confidence was lost over the past couple of years. But people were regaining confidence. Now we're starting to see it dip back down. We're seeing more people put out there on their social media how disappointed they are, how things are even harder now, even versus 6 months ago. And people are scratching their head. They don't know what's going on. They don't know why. Folks, if you've been on this channel, you know exactly why. It's because of helicopter money and easy money problems being put out there as the solution. But in this case, easy money and throwing more money at the problem is causing more of a problem. Instead of being the solution, it's just throwing fuel to the fire. It's causing more problems, right? So what do you do? Look for investment opportunities. You buy the dips. All right, we've talked many times about dip buying here. I've told you exactly what I'm buying, when I'm buying it, and it's done pretty well, right? I'm not rich. Obviously, I'm not retired, but it's done pretty well. If you pay attention and if you use these strategies, I mean, you can get ahead. And even getting ahead doesn't feel like getting ahead with the cost of everything right now. And it's crazy right now. But let me know what you think down in the comments. Do you agree with these people? Is the American dream dead? As one of the commentators that we played said that. And what are these people thinking is the reason, right? I see a lot of people talking about how everything's so expensive and it just costs too much and they're barely scraping by, but no one really puts out there that I've seen what the reason is, right? We know the reason. It's easy money. We look back at the inflation chart. It started really going up in the 70s. Because we came off the gold standard and then all of a sudden they could print as much money as they wanted to. And then since then, it's just been nonstop throwing more fuel on the fire. In other words, just trying to print more money. And the money that people are getting, it may be more than it was 10 years ago, but you actually have less at the end of the day because prices are rising faster than incomes. All right? People have to take on more debt now. They have to work more jobs, have more streams of income just to get by, folks. So you've got to be thinking about these things and try to stay ahead of this race, or keep your head above water, so to speak. And that's what we try to do on this channel. We bring you the news. We tell you what other people are talking about, the data, the statistics, the numbers, stocks, investing, you name it. We talk about it right here. So please make sure you are subscribed. Please help support this channel. Keep us alive here because sometimes it seems like somebody or some people don't want this type of information to get out there. I'm not sure why. I think it's good information. But anyways, please let me know what you think down in comments. As always, keep stacking. Big love. Bye for now. Peace.